Hi there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. So after Sunday's update, I decided to spend some time to understand how big is the drone threat to Ukraine. With recent multiple days of attacks, I just wanted to understand how bad is it, because some of the initial understanding about these drones that Iran has sent to Ukraine have been somewhat lacking when I saw the way they've been used, because initially I thought it's just a couple of hundred of them and they didn't prove themselves to be very battle capable. However, once I started finding out more and more information, I went in a whole spiral of emotions, and I want to take you with me in this short video. Desperation has started setting in for me when I started reading more and more facts about these drones and how much pain and suffering they're causing for people in Ukraine. The problem with drones is not only by itself that they are so dangerous, that they're just flying around and then exploding. It feels that every single one of them is not that big of a deal. The problem is when they're flying in such a big amounts. It was very hopeful to hear that Ukraine has hit 10, 15 drones, 20 drones, 30 drones, but then a couple of them would still hit some kind of critical infrastructure, and then my friends would write me, hey, we don't have any light or heating anymore. But additional problem is because Russians are not completely dumb in how they're using these drones. They're using them in tandem with their missile strikes. Ukrainian anti-air system can just get overwhelmed, and then while it's reloading after shooting down some of the drones, Russians can shoot some of the missiles that would get through. Or additionally, sometimes Russians would just prepare kind of to shoot missiles, try to deceiving tactics, and then Ukrainian anti-air systems would let the drones through. These drones, they cost almost nothing, while every single anti-air missile is quite expensive. Moreover, the characteristics of these drones, they are as dumb as it gets. It's literally a bomb, like a moped motor, and a GPS navigation system. That's pretty much it. And it's blind completely. It doesn't have any optics whatsoever. They just set out coordinates and it flies. And the drones that are done like that, they cost nothing. These drones, they emit very, very low heat because that engine that it's using, it's literally like such a small thing that a lot of the older missiles that were made to target aircraft are not completely picking it up as nicely as they should. It's tough to think about what kind of challenges it proposes for Ukraine, because at first I thought it would be just a couple of hundreds, like the first initial batches that Iran, essentially the intelligence were reporting, there were just a couple of hundred drones. But the supplies kept coming and coming and coming. And right now I've heard estimates that it's over 2,400 drones have been delivered to Russia. And apparently even more underway, just because it takes nothing for Iran to produce them, and they're being produced constantly. Russia can just throw them out as many as they want. There is not going to be an end to it. And additionally, now with the news that Iran is going to supply the ballistic missiles, which Russia was also running short of, it also got the desperation factor going in, because I couldn't understand how it can be so unfair. How could people just shoot at the civilian infrastructures, shoot at the civilians, kill them, and there is nothing that can be done systematically just because they are so cheap and shitty. And the worst part is that they are also impacting the war somehow, right? They are buying Russia some time to get them to get the mobilized people up and training, because Ukraine is trying to deal with some of these internal problems, trying to dedicate some people to make some kind of additional air defense layer. That was a little bit of depressing factor, and slowly but surely, as I got deeper in the dark hole, I got in the second stage. I got really angry when I started thinking about, well, why is Russia doing this? Why is it still possible now, so much into the war? Why are they so bloodthirsty? Why are people in Russia, instead of seeing how their weapons are killing the civilians, something that they were all denying, saying, oh, we don't want to kill civilians, we're only striking military targets. And then on their news, on their live news channels, they're showing how these weapons are striking civilians, how old grandma, grandpa, all bloody, trying to be carried away to the hospitals, and they're like, yeah, we should have done it earlier. I got so mad with this. And I got mad at Iran for providing these weapons, because like they're sitting there doing nothing and they want to support Russia in its aggressive behavior because of their world destruction ideas. Something, most probably Iran got like a nuclear technologies from Russia for that. I'm pretty sure about this, seeing how much weapons they're sending to Russia. And then I also got mad at China, because Iran couldn't do it without foreign components. And already we know that some investigation has been done on these drones, where the components come from, the GPS navigation components. And would you know it, they've been made in China. Maybe it was normal factories, but someone somehow just didn't control. And I got mad also at the world, just like how they could have just like, what are the sanctions then for? Like, what are the sanctions for? We here in the West are sitting and thinking, well, it's good that our governments are putting sanctions on regimes like Iranian, and they are trying to protect the world. And instead we see that it's just nominally. The sanctions are there, but we're not enforcing them. We already saw this happening in Ukraine, that Russia has the French night vision objectives, high tech on their tanks, because the contracts had a loophole in them that allowed them to exit the sanctions. When we're thinking that we're imposing some kind of laws, why are we not following the spirit of the law instead, or the ruling that we make? But instead we try to follow the letter of it. And that is something that got me really, really angry. Especially later on, I got angry at our NATO allies, because Ukraine suffering from the air attacks is nothing new. This was clear from the first day. It's been over 7 months, and we still haven't delivered any kind of proper air defense. The first Iris-T is coming in 7 months after the war started. Moreover, we're now seeing that again, like everyone is having a surprise Pikachu face about that. Oh wow, Ukraine is actually vulnerable. We should probably not allow killing so many Ukrainians. No shit, Sherlock. Why don't Ukraine has these drone capabilities? Weren't there supposed to be drones sent to Ukraine? Why is Ukraine not attacking every Russian position and every Russian military base outside the territory of Ukraine already? What has been done? And I got really angry, because many analysts said that the drones will be the decisive factor of this war, but they just never appeared, because I knew Russia didn't have the technology, and Ukraine just for some reason didn't use them to the capacity, and mostly because they were not supplied in additional quantities. And the quantity is the key factor here. And I'm so mad about the fact that we do not provide a sufficient coverage for Ukraine, that we don't provide sufficient weapons in Ukraine, that it's always asking, every time you ask every single Ukrainian, they say, oh, we have to fight through all of these stages that we have in the West, saying, oh yeah, but maybe this will be an escalation and so on. Still, 7 months into the war, enough. That's what I felt. But slowly but surely, I had a time to reflect on it, and I got myself slowly into the third stage. Many of you that watch me constantly already maybe heard somewhere where I was saying that one of the biggest things that's driving me to do something is strong emotions, anger being one of them. Anger at myself for not having the capability to help Ukraine more, anger at people around me, not supplying enough weapons, not supplying enough support for Ukraine, trying to do more. So to have those strong emotions to drive me. This was exactly the case. As I started thinking about it, I started rationalizing. So what is the analysis for it? What is the structure behind this? I understood one of the most important things for us as well to kind of understand and how we can get out of this. This is just another problem. This is just another military problem. Ukraine has had worse problems hanging above it. And Ukrainian people and soldiers came through. And I'm very certain that this problem will also be solved in time. Moreover, there was already discussions about the potential on how to tackle these drones. A lot of analysts saying, well, maybe they should use the South Korean tactics during their war when they had the anti-air positions with like heavy machine guns on top of the buildings, on the rooftops. These drones are super dumb. They are flying and they are essentially just exploding when they hit anything. So you can have some kind of physical objects in the air that would intercept them. You can also maybe have some nets that literally just gonna catch those drones because they are not flying maybe that high. There are possibilities to fight it. There are options. And this is an important thing to take away. It's a military problem by this point. Yes, it's going to take time to adapt. Yes, some of the infrastructure in Ukraine going to get struck. People in Ukraine are again in endangered positions. And it's an additional wake-up call for the people in the West. So it's a solvable problem. And the most important part is that while it is absolutely dreadful that Ukrainians are having to suffer yet again and even more, which they never asked for, which they never wanted, they're just being attacked from outside by complete barbarians, complete bloodthirsty orcs that the Russians are right now at this war. And if someone doesn't want me to call them orcs or bloodthirsty, maybe they should stop the war. Or at least don't celebrate when Ukrainians getting killed. Civilians at least. Like, I know army is hard. This is like a football match for many of them. While anti-air is a problem for Ukraine, a lot of the reports are coming in that yes, Ukraine will get more anti-air, that Ukraine will get more supplies, that while maybe not as much equipment has been supplied to Ukraine, the supplies are now coming in steadily, and there is actually a whole schedule years ahead of deliveries, which is great. The army of Ukraine is not that severely impacted. The army of Ukraine can continue to fight, and now it's going to get supplied with like winter equipment and logistics and heating equipment and generators. So new adopted problems started, like Russia started hitting Ukrainian electricity network before the main codes came in. Imagine if Russia would start hitting electricity network when it would be already deep winter. Wouldn't it be more devastating? It would. But now we have maybe a little bit of a time to adapt. These drones have shown themselves that you can make these cheaply. And I already hear many voices that, for example, the Baltic states, they're not very rich countries, but these drones cost almost nothing. This is something they can start assembling. A lot of other people say, like, let's just open these small factories that will produce these super drones, or at least hulls for drones that would be sent to Ukraine and then filled with explosives if they need to. There is already a movement about how to go around it. And while what Iran is producing is dangerous and really bad, it cannot even closely match to the output capacity that the Western world can provide. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these manufacturing facilities are going to kick in quite soon. I've heard a lot of those manufacturing facilities being aligned with Ukrainian needs. Army of Ukraine is being trained additionally, something that I was really hoping for, that Ukrainian army will be not just trained with 10,000 people, but now apparently the capacity has risen to 50,000-60,000 people over a couple of months. That is massive. Whatever Russia mobilized troops are getting themselves into, they're not even going to come close with 50,000-60,000 every couple of months for Ukrainian troops. Because Ukrainian has the capacity. And if they're going to train their troops, Ukrainian army is not really impacted. It's very Damaging for the civilians, yes, but not for the Ukrainian army. So that's the case. That's the rationale. Thank you so much for watching this. I want to say thanks also to all the people that not just supporting me here by joining the membership and Patreon, but as you know, I'm running this channel non-profit. At least 50% of whatever comes in, I send to Ukrainian army, and the other part goes to improve this channel with the lighting, camera. We'll see how it goes. Slava Ukraini. See you next time.